welcome back to Chess the Matthew. So on this video, we will tackle on how to beat the Pirc defense. So the side opening start with the move e4, d6, the Pirc defense, in which the idea here is the black plays d6 to stop any further e5 push up white, and after d4 controlling the center, here comes now the knight f6 for the black, in which it attacks the independent pawn and also controlling the center while developing his piece on knight f6. And after the white here plays knight c3, defending his pawn and also developing a piece and controlling the center, the black here plays g6, intending to play his bishop to g7 so that later on he can castle on the king side. And here we will play the variation of Austrian attack with f4 in beating the Pirc defense, because after bishop g7 we simply play knight f3, developing a piece and controlling the center, and after the black here castle on the king side, we have e5. The idea of e5 here is to attack the knight on f6 and also limiting the scope of the bishop g7 on the dark square. And after, for example, the black here plays knight fd7, again we will play h4. The idea of h4 here is to have a king side expansion and also trying to destroy the black's camp here with h5, for example. And another is it controls the g5, the dark square also with these pawns. And here, for example, if the black here plays h5, trying to stop this pawn to be advanced on the h5, but we have a g4 sacrifice on this position, because after g4 it attacks the h5 and also it controls the f5. And another idea is it can be pushed to g5, in which after the dark square here will be closed, then this bishop on g7 is totally out of the game. But this g4 push has no defense, so the black here can actually grab the pawn on g4 and win immediately. But it allows now here for the white to play knight g5 and with a follow-up of h5, because this pawn is no longer sitting on this h5. So later on, the white here can push to h5 and try to destroy the black's camp on the king side. And for example, after the black here plays knight b6, opening up some diagonal for his bishop and also defending his pawn, and again trying to reroute his knight to knight b6 with a control on a4, c4, and a control on d5 on the center. But again, as like I said, the white here can simply place h5 and tries to open now the h file, and again destroying this f7 and g6 pawn structure. But for example, after the black here plays g takes h5, the white here can simply place queen to d3, and after the black here simply plays knight c6, then in just 12 moves the white can win through checkmate after queen h7 checkmate, because this queen cannot be captured because it was actually defended by the knight on g5. So going back, after e4, d6, d4, knight f6, knight c3, g6, f4, the Austrian attack on the Pirc defense, for example, after bishop g7, knight f3, and after cancelling e5, knight fd7, h4. Although the black here can try another defense in which he tries to counter the center, because for example, if your opponent tries to have a flank attack, then you can actually reply a defense against for it by attacking the center. But after c4, there is no h5 on this position, in which the white here can simply push his pawn to h5 and tries to destroy this pawn structure while opening also the h file for an attack for the white's perspective. But after c takes d4, attacking this knight and winning a pawn, but the white here can simply grab the pawn on g6, and after the black here wins a piece on c3, but there is a simple g takes f7 check. And if the black here capture that pawn, but there's simple knight g5 with a check, and if this king will be moved on this king h square, then there is queen h5 and there is a mate in 2. So the black here was obliged to play king g8 to escape the check, but still there is queen d5 check, and after e6, queen takes e6 check again. And even though the black here defend with rook f7, but there is queen takes f7 check, and after king h8, in just 15 moves, the white here wins through a checkmate via rook takes h7 checkmate, because this rook cannot be captured because there is a knight on g5. So going back, after e4, d6, d4, knight f6, knight c3, g6, we will use the f4 variation for white, the Austrian attack, to beat the Pirc defense. For example, after bishop g7, knight f3, and tries to wait here for the black to castle on the king side. And if the black castles, here comes now the e5, attacking the knight, and after that f7 with the follow up of h4. And for example, on this position, even though the black here can block this h4, but we have a g4 push. And for example, if the black here will counter on the center with c5, but we have h4 to h5 push on this position. So that's all. I hope you enjoyed this video, and please don't forget to subscribe.